Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Humans and Wildlife Show. My name is Dr. Giorgia Auteri. With me, as always, is my co-host, Dr. Christian Sase. Christian, what are we going to talk about today?
Hi, everyone, and welcome. Welcome, Georgia, too. Well, today is really exciting. It's exciting for many good reasons because we know actually very little about Georgia, right? We know very little what she does.
Don't we?
And we're going to learn more about her because there's going to be a very special videographer, and it's so difficult to do wildlife and nature videography. And that's what it's all about today.
Yeah, so we have with us Hans Reijnen, who I probably just butchered your last name. But despite me not being able to pronounce his last name very well, Hans and I worked together on a project documenting some of my research with bats. So we were out in the field together recording these animals. And he's also worked on a number of other projects before, including filming plants and all kinds of stuff. So Hans, why don't you tell us maybe a little bit about yourself and what you do and how you got into it? Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. No, I'm Hans Reijnen. I'm from the Netherlands. I don't know. It's all right. I don't even know how to pronounce it in English. Really, what would be the correct English pronunciation? I don't know. I'm sure Christian has the same. Maybe even I don't know. I studied journalism there, and then I got into science because of my wife. Really, she did her PhD in the Netherlands, and then we started traveling because for her work, basically, she was doing postdoctoral assignments. So that's when we started to travel and bounce around and meet all sorts of interesting people, mostly through her work. So that's how I got into my niche, if you will.
Yeah, and as you are going through this, I'm actually just going to share on muted some of your videos in the background so people can see some of the stuff that you've done. Although the audience shouldn't be able to hear it right now. So go ahead and keep talking. Yeah. So I think, one of the things that was interesting to me in working with Hans is that your journalism experience comes through really strongly because you really worked with me to try to, we came together to try to come up with the story and the direction and the video and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm pretty old school in the sense that I don't really like super short, little, I don't do TikTok or anything like that. I'm not really, I don't know, just maybe I'm getting old or I don't know. I like traditional film. So I enjoy getting some kind of a longer story arc in there and have some real substance. I mean, I feel like my work is sort of half documentary, half educational. So I think it's important that people can learn something and you actually give them some new information, and usually that ties in very well with the science or scientists who want to present their work. And this is in Michigan.
I mean, myself who does quite a lot of video work, definitely not as good as you do, but one thing I do notice is the beautiful way you change the scenes, right? You zoom in, you quickly change the scenes in order to give the audience immediately. You have a very short span where you have to get a message across, but what I can see immediately is by changing the scene, for example, this woman that you're interviewing, you're showing the whole surrounding by just taking clips around that, and we immediately understand what is actually going on. So this is really fantastic the way you do it. Also, what I like, I have to mention all these things I like because I've watched several of your videos, which this beautiful detail. Also the way you capture sound or what type of music you mix in, that's very complex stuff, actually, that maybe many people don't appreciate how difficult it is to take so many scenes and also to cut them correctly into that. Also, your introduction is often beautiful. What I like is the way you use the blue background with white, with just white text, very simple. So we get immediately, without having to read a lot, we immediately understand who it is and so on. So
no, thank you a lot. Thanks. Yeah, I do try to keep it simple because it's difficult. I rather I'd rather do something simple well than try to be overcomplicated and just have the end result be I mean, me not quite there. It's I think video is very difficult. One of the reasons it's very difficult is because people are very perceptive, and they will pick up on and very, like, I don't want to say spoiled, but we watch Hollywood films like every day of the week now on Netflix, so that people's standards are super high, so they'll pick up on
Yes.
on a lot. The audience is really smart, and I think nowadays, and yeah, so I try to avoid. I'd rather keep it simple and keep it quality all right than like overextend myself, which I still do like every time.
Yeah, I mean, look at this shot right here, like this ladybug crawling around on the moss. Like, I thought, when I was working with you, I gained a much more appreciation for my own work, for the things that I had started to take for granted, like the sounds of the laboratory equipment as you're clicking it together or something like that. Because Hans, like Christian was saying, he really got in there and just, made sure that he got all the sounds and captured everything that was going on in the area.
Yeah, and actually, James is asking such a nice question, because when I was watching some of, and I really would like to give you we should put the link in for Hans's video. You get really in his first videos the impression of the Netherlands. I mean, those of you who've grown up in Europe, my mother was Dutch, so I very much understand the Dutch atmosphere, and I really recognize that. So maybe James, I'm sure Hans can comment a bit more on that. But what's the nature like in the Netherlands?
Cultivated. We have some like very small areas of like what you would consider nature, but our environment is very, very cultivated. So it's and a lot of it is but it is managed, and it's beautiful. To me it's beautiful. A lot of it is agricultural lands, I suppose. But I think that our public space planners did do a very good job, because it's one of the most crowded countries in the world.
Yes.
But you would not know if you're in there. I mean, if you're in the cities, the European.
Well said. Exactly.
Yeah, European cities are in the Netherlands, Dutch cities too. They're busy and small and crowded. But if you get on a train and within 10 minutes you're zipping through the countryside, and like it feels open. But yeah, but real nature, you could argue it doesn't exist. I mean, not like in the United States.
Yeah, but what is so beautiful about Holland is you captured it somewhere. I don't remember where it was about. They were planting more trees and so on. They got these beautiful old Dutch houses and so on. And people take a lot of care. So you see forests around there and so on. So, I think you're being too modest of Holland. I think it's got really beautiful, at least from what I've seen, really beautiful. And I see all the ponds with ducks and, the autumn and so on. That's for me very much Holland.
No, it can be beautiful. I was just there like in a month ago or so, and it was the first time in like 3 years I was there in summer. That was really nice. I'd only been there, usually I'm around Christmas time or something, and it's always like brown and gray and wet, and in summer it's beautiful.
I love that there's so much creativity to your videos, like that transition that just happened.
Yeah, this one, that's nice.
From up.
Yeah,
and suddenly you're in the refrigerator. Yes. Like you bring just the right amount of scientific accuracy and like creativity.
Yeah,
like with weird shots like that.
That's a very classical transition. I mean, I'm also like a student of film and video, right? I like to figure out how that works. And I'm sort of learning about the world like through making videos like on the subjects, but also about video all the time. I try to get better and better. And this is like that sort of whip band transition is a very classical thing, but if you do it at the right time, it's really nice.
Yeah. And so we have a lot of guests today too. I just want to say hello to everyone real quick, because we haven't done that yet. So Mara Gross, David Dunn, Mario, James Bourne, Frankman. So I'm going back and back. There's so many people. So thank you everyone for joining us. We're glad to have you. I think that maybe we should preview the video a little bit, the advertised video.
Yeah, of course. Go.
So should we watch, what do people think? Do we want to watch all of it, or do we want to watch just like part of it and then talk about it more before we get to watch the rest?
Just go ahead. It's fine.
Just go. Okay. Watch it all.
I look around, it looks like the night sky is quiet, empty, dark. And it was as if the bat appeared out of nowhere. And then you're looking at this thing right there that you're like, where did this come from? You know what I mean? It's like it came out of nowhere. And the biologist, she was pointing out the different characteristics of the bat, like how she knew what species it was. This whole other world was discovered to me at that time. You go to these caves and count bats during the winter to see, you know, what the population size is. All the bats are conveniently clustered in these caves where they're hibernating, and I've been caving since I was 5 years old. I love caves. I love, you know, the damp smell of them. And one year you go in and it doesn't smell like a cave anymore. It smells like rotting carcasses. The change is that dramatic. All these bats are dead. When you've seen the change yourself, and you naturally kind of want to do something about it or understand what's happening. That was how I got into white nose syndrome. The disease is caused by a fungal pathogen, Pseudogymnoascus destructans. It was introduced from Eurasia to New York, probably by people. When the bats go into the caves in winter and they're hibernating, the fungus starts growing on the bats. They wake up and they like groom themselves and clean off the fungus, and then the fungus keeps growing and they wake up again. It's using up a huge amount of their energy reserves. And so what happens is the bat prematurely runs out of fat reserves for the winter. It basically starves to death in its hibernation site. I was like, well, I guess I'll collect some of these bats, see if we can do something with the body. I don't think at that point I didn't know enough about genetics to know that you could get DNA from a dead animal like that had been kind of decomposing. But you can, it turns out. We can cut some skin from their wing membrane, break up the cells that compose the skin of their wing, and then you do this cleaning process where you remove everything but the DNA. The DNA alone from the dead bats tells us nothing if we don't have anything to compare it to. Because it's all about the comparison and seeing how are these dead bats potentially different from the ones that made it. The next step was to go out in the summertime and catch live bats, adults that had survived at least one winter hibernating in an area with this fungus, and take a little hole punch from their wing. Ready?
Yeah. Right there? Yeah.
When I compared the bats, we found that little brown bats that survive the disease have different versions of some genes compared to the ones that die. Those are the genes associated with fat metabolism and waking up from hibernation. We wouldn't expect that to happen just by chance. These survivors are better evolved to deal with the disease. So there's evidence that eventually they can recover. They might be a little bit fatter and therefore better able to make it until the springtime. Or maybe they're just really good at waking up, clean up the fungus and then go right back to sleep. We don't know. But it certainly seems like differences in those traits. You can imagine ways in which they would be helpful for surviving the disease. Then it's like so much more satisfying, those bats that you do get. There's always silver linings, and I think that's important to understand.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much. Maybe I'll comment on this because I'm the only one here of the three of us who's not been involved in this. Well, I think it's a real masterpiece, really, and I mean it. And what I really like is, I mean, as a viewer who's not seen this before, and I haven't, it comes in as a shock because I'm expecting a beautiful, sailing along video, and then comes this incredible shock where we find out that there's actually a very serious problem, and then of course, one's mind starts going crazy, and then and Giorgia takes a research and analyzes quite a lot, and in the end, we still have a bit of an open question, right? Things are not as simple as they seem. I think it's beautifully captured. Everything is the filming angles, the way it's explained. So we can go away now and we actually understand the essence of what this message is about, right? So I think
thanks. No, I like that. I like the reaction. I mean, it's very high drama in the beginning there, right? And a lot of people, especially, and a lot of people like recognize that. I'm happy. Like I'm glad I get that reaction. I was like,
yes.
Yeah.
So initially when we were talking about it, it's so funny to go back. Initially when we were talking about this, we wanted to make it a funny video. We wanted to make it kind of like comical and lighthearted, and it just
wouldn't go.
Like the subject of the research is
it wouldn't go. Heavy. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So
I still think it's not as I mean, there's that little dark moment there, but overall I think it's not that. It's still pretty positive, I think.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And we don't focus too much on the dead bats. It's part of the reason why we started. We wanted to also make something. I don't know if it's that's something that stuck with me anyway. Make something that is an inspiration for young people who might want to consider going into science themselves. So we wanted to show something like how it can be done, or how it happens, and how you sort of get started on the onto a subject, or and I think it's a really encouraging, and Giorgia's example is pretty extreme in the sense that when she already started, and then her subjects just start to die off, like all of them. And if someone can come back from that, or even despite that, still have a successful start of her career, still manage to get her PhD, I think that's quite inspiring. And then also the whole.
Well, it became part of the PhD. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly. Yeah. And then, of course, also something there that I think is nice is that bats and death, or bats, not death, but dead animals is not something that's associated with young women, let's say. I think it's nice to have that to sort of break that stigma a little bit, because it doesn't make sense, and I kind of like that element of it.
Well, tell us a bit about the background. I mean, how do you actually do it? Surely you don't just go out and say, "Hey, Giorgia, let's have a good day and see what we can get here."
Oh my gosh! Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the planning was really hard. I'm not a planner.
Yeah, tell us about
I
it.
think
So,
both Hans and I are dreamers,
Yeah. Oh,
not
definitely.
planners, but Hans is more of a planner than I am. And so,
No, I mean, we got to talking at a friend's house, and she just said, "Hey, would you like to go to Missouri and catch bats at night, and go into a cave or something with me?" And I was like, "Wow, that's amazing, right?" And then it turned out to be that was like our initial or my initial impetus, like, wow, that's super cool. We have to, right?
and
But
then
then
you're
you
like,
go,
it's a lot of work.
yes, and then at some point also, I start to realize, like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to produce something here, and then your planning starts to come in, like, oh, how are we going to do this? Yeah.
Yeah, so this was almost a year ago that we filmed. Certainly, we started talking about it more than a year ago.
Yeah.
And the filming of a lot of the bat stuff was in October. Some of it was even later, and some of it, like the stuff in caves, it wasn't really in a cave. We faked that, which
Oh, okay.
was something that was totally amazing to me, because I, as a scientist, I always thought, like, oh, and I'm going to show Hans's, here's Hans's wonderful Vimeo.
Yeah.
This is where you can find all of
Mhm.
his videos.
Yep.
And aside as I'm showing that, I'm just going to go to the screen. But there was things I didn't know that, like, I always thought, like, oh, it's going to be too hard. I can't really show people what it looks like in a cave, because you can't have video equipment in the cave for a long time. The heat, the lights, it wakes up all the hibernating bats, which isn't good for them. And then also it's bad for the camera equipment. Like, it's all foggy and high humidity in there. The lens is fogging up.
very
But
difficult.
Hans,
So
you
promised me this adventure, and it was like elements were taken down. Oh, we can't do this, we can't do that.
But what I was amazed about was, like, how I'm trying to find the part where we made it look like as if we're in a cave, because
there's just two parts, but they're really short. Yeah.
Green screen
maybe I-
caves. That's what James is saying. Yep.
and that's kind of what we did. Yeah, but this is the same thing with research too. Like, students come in, they're like, yeah, I'm going to study bats and go out and catch them, and it's like, you're going to be on a computer a lot of the time. Oh, here we go. So this is not in a cave. This is in Hans's, like, computer room or bedroom or something. I don't know what
bedroom.
room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, this is really, no, it was because we couldn't go into the cave, and I felt that was it was an important part of the story, and it was a cool part visually, because we shot the bats, and they're wiggling around, and they're small, and it's dark, and they're very hard to catch. To catch on camera, and I felt that we needed that. So I went to the railroad tracks and gathered some nice looking rocks and dragged those home, and we blacked out all the windows and the walls.
So
and
Hans put all these big rocks on the table, and then he did something very clever, which I didn't realize. He sprayed them with water. He had a mist bottle. He made it all
make
wet.
it more. Yeah, that's great.
That was the key.
Yeah.
Nice. And Giorgia had some she had some dead bats on her in a jar of formaldehyde or something.
Yeah,
I don't know
got
why.
him out for this. Why does anyone have anything? Yeah, I mean, and these are bats that were found dead from white nose syndrome.
Right.
They were found dead in a cave from white nose syndrome, and I just stuck them in the thing of formaldehyde, and I took them right back out for this. So.
We have pictures of us too doing that. Right?
I was just looking for them and I couldn't find them. But if you find them,
go a little bit deeper. Obviously, you just didn't say, "Well, let me think what I'm going to do today." You had a plan, or you in your head, and you somehow must have shared that with Giorgia. How does that work?
No, well, it's the other way around. I try to get the plan from the person that I'm working with.
You try, but then you continue.
No, I mean, it needs to be two. So, like my clients, if you will, they have an idea of what they want to do, right? And then there's me, and I also have an idea of what I want to do, and that's good, because it still has to be a video at the end of the day, right? So then it becomes the idea is to bring those two together. That can be really really difficult. I mean, it starts out with just talking, and for me, it's at first, especially when you're doing working with scientists, there's a lot of information that comes at you, and you really have to have to try and understand what this person is doing very very quickly, and that takes a bit of time, and then while I'm processing all that, I try to give them a little bit of homework, and I usually send people these worksheets, or we go through them together, and it's just a bunch of questions that I have that help that help me understand this person. It's asking questions in a way that makes them functional for video, if you will. I don't know if I can show.
I found the worksheet. I can.
Oh, you found the worksheet?
I found
See if
it.
I can.
I'll share it.
Oh, that's
so this was the worksheet that Hans
Okay.
sent me. Giorgia Auteri worksheet version 1. It has practical needs, title, subject, audience, context. Is this for
Really?
scientists? Is this for non-scientists who are
Right.
just like interested people? Distribution. How are we? What's the deadline?
Yeah. Oh,
Keywords.
don't show the deadline. Don't show the deadline.
I know. I saw. I was like, ooh, and I went right on cats. Do all bats have little teeth? Yes. When do they reproduce? It depends on the species. So, like birds, they have their babies in the springtime in areas with like the higher latitude areas. So, like northern Europe, northern North America, or southern far south latitudes. So they have their babies in the spring. But they do something weird where they actually have sex in the fall, and the female bats store the sperm in them like all winter through their hibernation, and then once they wake up in spring, there's like delayed fertilization, and the females fly off and have their babies alone.
Huh.
Do they make any sounds? Yes, they make kind of little like squeaky sounds that you can hear. There's another video that I did with Hans, 3 ways to hold a bat. And if you watch that, you can hear the sounds better. But yeah, this is like all the stuff that we covered, the layers of place. I was like, this is all this storytelling stuff, but I was like, what does it mean?
No, this is a good example. So this is actually I borrowed this from Muse storytelling. So it's not 100% my own making this, but they have this layers. I call it layers of place, but place. If you can, there's different ways you can think about place. Environment is the most obvious one, right? So where is this? Where are we going to film, right? But it's good to get it. Even those basic stuffs, people might have a very different idea about. But then objects, like if you get more into close-up shots, your location is really an object, right? A situation, like what is going on at that particular location at that time, right? And then when are you there? Like is it summer, winter, night? Yeah, those are all different ways to think about place, right? And the landscape of consciousness is what are you, or is the top of the main character in your film thinking about, or where's his mind when?
See, we tried to keep it upbeat and confident. We're like, yeah, this is a depressing topic, but can do.
Right.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, good. Right. So that's all ways to think about where does this story take place? And those are things it's just a brainstorming document. This and to try to get.
A lot of it is very narrative, like as if you were writing a book. Like, what's the obstacle? Like, what are the solutions? So stuff like that was definitely new for me to think about my research in that way. It was totally different.
Yeah, this part is more
plot points.
Yeah, so this you get into I haven't entirely figured out where to what extent I need to involve like you in my process. So this is probably over the edge, but this is how you, again, this is from Muse storytelling, which I did a bunch of courses with these people, and this is how how you set up a story and how you like keep the viewer's attention over more than 30 seconds, or that's the theory anyways. So these are all the sort of the moments that you want in your film, basically.
The 6 plot points.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I've had a lot of questions because after we came out with these videos, people were like, oh, like, did you come up with that or did Hans come up with that? Like, they want to know. And I always say that you did. I mean, I think that a lot of times people think of like a videographer and they think of someone who is like gonna like do what you say or something, and you have to do all the work of the storytelling, but you had a lot more input than I thought necessarily, and so that was like pretty cool to me.
Yeah, I'm not a traditional videographer. I mean, there's I am of the opinion that there's a lot of videographers that you can just you hire them for the day and they'll show up and you'll point them in a direction and they'll do the best they can. And I used to do that. That's what we did in video journalism. But I actually got away from that because you're already as a one-man band, you're already very limited in what you can do. So the more you can plan and the better you can think about what you're doing, the better it's going to be. Because especially if you're working alone or with a very small crew, you want to focus on the things you need to focus on and not show up on the day and have like no clue what you're going to do, because that's just the results are not going to be as good. It's simple as that.
I'm just curious also just about logistics here and the financing. How does that work? Does the university pay for you? Because obviously you're not going to do this for free. I mean, you have to live on something, right?
So Christian asks, well, Hans right now is working to, I know he's done some things as side projects before, but he's working, it depends on in this case, we didn't have a lot of funding at all. It was a very shoestring budget. But Hans is on his way up, so to speak. And so I won't really say anything about.
No, I didn't want to put anyone in the spotlight. I'm just curious because this is a lot of work, That's
well, this was. I mean, this is we call it a passion project, if you will. That's also one of the reasons why it took nearly a year to finish, because I couldn't, it's a lot of work, especially the little bit longer one, and we did a lot of different. There's a lot of different scenes in here, so it's a little more complicated than it should have been, maybe.
So
but yeah, no. So I do. I mean, I also do people hire me, and I show up for the day, and I do the best I can. That's as a videographer how you make your money, and then there's these sort of bigger projects in between, and I just really enjoy it, and I also use these type of projects to learn and to like improve my craft. And you get it, like in this type of situation, I have a lot of influence. I can, like, if you're hired to do something, the relationship is a little bit different, and it's nice to do these sort of like more creative, more free type of projects to where you can also like improve on your skills, and there's no hard deadline or anything like that. And
yeah. So I would say if you want to support Hans, David Dunn asked about his website. It is this Vimeo page. If you search.
Yes, I put a link in. I put a link in for it.
Yeah, and also there's a link that Christian put in the chat. Share his videos, because also in addition to this website, Hans has almost no other social media presence, basically. I always found it so ironic that you spend so much of your time making these beautiful videos and you don't have a Twitter, you don't have a Facebook. I don't think, not that I know, you don't have an Instagram.
No, definitely no Facebook. No.
So I am going to ask everyone in our audience to help bring Hans's work into social media. Share his videos that you enjoy and stuff like that. Yeah, so I would say in response to James's question, I think it's a little bit like this work, from what I sound, is very contract based. It's like the next contract, the next gig. And so building your resume always helps you get the next gig. But I will say that Hans, this video really got people in the bat world paying attention. And there are people that have more money than I had as a PhD student.
Exactly. You need to do some work to get your foot in the door anywhere, and that's just how it works. And this is a good opportunity to really, take your time and finesse, and make something that you're proud of, and you can show to people, and hopefully impress some people that have actual budgets. Yeah. which does, I think that does happen. But this is, I think this is a good way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, just to James's point here, Hans is a well-balanced person and no social media, yes, and but that also brings in a lot of issues because, as you know, so many people scream and scream in social media, and sometimes it is unfortunately the ones who scream loudest to get the most attention, right? Who don't do the best stuff. We know that. But then the other issue also, what I want to discuss with you, Hans, is the short attention span that people have nowadays, because you've put so much care and love into your videos. I can see that, but the addressing of the very short video span, when Facebook approached me, for example, they said, from our statistics, the typical attention span is between 10 and 30 seconds. Don't make your videos longer than 30 seconds, maximum a minute, was the recommendation, and that's the way the world's spinning now. And that,
I actually don't agree.
that's no. Good that it's reality, whether you agree or not. But I mean, it's statistics, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably why I'm not on Facebook. I mean, I'm sure. I mean, that's true for Facebook users, but there's also like, take all these streaming services. Take Netflix. That's grown hugely over the past
it has
5 years, and that's all long form content.
Yes.
So I mean, I think it kind of depends on what. I mean, I think it also depends a little bit on people's expectation. If you're on Instagram or Twitter, you're not going to watch a 15-minute video because you're not in the mood. Otherwise, you wouldn't probably not be on that platform.
Correct.
But so I think it's to do with the platform and what people, where the mindset is at that time. Then it's necessarily their attention span that's like disappeared. Or something. I don't think
that's a good point, Hans. Yeah. Because the average viewing time on Netflix is probably like, hours.
Right.
It's either 15 seconds or 5 hours of binging some show.
Yeah. So, and I'm fine with, I mean, you could make like trailers or commercials or something, but I think it's like, I personally don't really like. So what happens if people try to promote something in 10 to 30 seconds, all you can say, right, it's super good, trust me, buy it, and then your time's up. And I don't think that there's any value to that. So I prefer.
I don't disagree with you at all. I'm just on the contrary, I very much agree with what you're saying. It's just that's my observation. The way the world is spinning now, right?
No, and it's the same. Yeah, no, that is true, and to a certain extent. But I try to so. I mean, at the start of every video, right? So this starts with Giorgia describing her experience when she first saw like bats being caught in this net, right?
Yeah, right.
And that probably takes that amount of time. It's probably between 10 and 30 seconds. That's that little segment there in the beginning, and that segment is there to attract the right audience. Like if there's people that watch that and are like, oh wow, yeah, that's I would also be super surprised. And how cool is that suddenly you have this bat there. That's the kind of people that this video is made for, and they will probably continue watching. If after that 10, 30 seconds, they're like, yeah, I've seen a bat plenty of times, or I hate bats, or I wouldn't know, that doesn't amaze me at all, or then the video, it doesn't, I'm fine with them not watching because it's not for them anyway. The whole rest of the video is not going to be very relevant to them. And this kind of comes back to what, we wanted to have it as an inspiration for people, for young people who would consider a career in science or doing a PhD. So that's kind of when you try to sift out people that are actually interested and who you're making it for versus.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I feel like maybe we should watch the video again real quick, just that moment, because I learn things when I hear Hans talk that I'm like, I didn't have that perspective before. I'm like, oh, that's why he did that way. So I learned things about the video too. Margaret says here on the East Coast of the US, the bats are out speeding around at sunset. And also someone else from the Philly area said, that the bats are declining. Pat Davis said that they're declining in the Westchester Pennsylvania, sorry, not Philly. Bats, they're dwindling everywhere, but they are on the uptick, it looks like, in a lot of places, so that's good to see. So definitely, but to get back to Mara's question, I do have unusual animal encounters that I've had while netting, where I've come across species that were not bats that I caught in my nets by accident. So we've gotten woodcocks, which are like these big birds, flying squirrels, which have much bigger teeth than bats. It might not sound like a big deal to you, but when I get a flying squirrel and it's like this big and I was expecting something this big, then I'm like, oh crap, where did I put my thick leather gloves? Did I remember to bring them this time? Debbie Noss says, I'm an admin in an eagle group. Oh, this is for you, Hans, maybe. Oh, and we have a subgroup for all wildlife. Videos are shared all the time. Much credit to all our members. Their attention span is more than 30 seconds. Yeah, we'd be happy to see those videos.
Yeah, and that's the way the positive. Here we see the positive side of social media, because there are people out there who have that long attention span, right? And you wouldn't meet them if there was no social media, right?
That's true.
Yeah. No, but it's also like I'm not on social media, but Giorgia's on social media, and when it's only I only just finished this up, but when I transfer those files to her, I'm sure she'll put it on her Twitter and things. So I make films for other people, right? I don't make them. There are my films. I make them for myself, but I kind of, it's more like if you want to make a video for social media, give me a call and I'll make you one. But I don't necessarily have to broadcast on there personally. That's my feeling.
You're just putting it out there.
My dad is on here. Hi, Dad.
I know, I saw that. I was a little bit jealous because my mom doesn't. She's like, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm trying
to. Just in the meantime, whilst Giorgia's doing something, how did you get from the Netherlands to Miami? What's the story behind it?
Yeah.
No, it's my wife, like Giorgia, when I met her, she was doing her PhD.
Okay.
And she finished her PhD and wanted to do a postdoc. And I said, "All right, let's go. Let's see where that takes us." Like
that's great. That's a great attitude.
And I was doing the same thing then. I was doing video part time, and I had another job part time. Both would be easy to, or at least it wasn't like I had a major important job to give up or anything. So yeah, we decided to see where that would take us, and it took us first to Nebraska for a year.
Wow.
Then we were in the south of France for 2 years. Then we were in Michigan for 2 years. And now I'm in Miami. We do like the United States. There's a lot of things about the United States that are nice, and it's also the scientific community is doing very well, I think, in the US. And
it is.
So that's why I keep bouncing around. Yeah.
But not Canada, right? What about Canada?
I don't have anything against Canada, especially now, because
no, I didn't mean it like that.
I could do with some snow would be good.
Yeah. All right. I've got the answer to Mara's question. Unexpected things. Here's one unexpected thing: is a chipmunk that I caught. This is the net that we normally use to catch bats. And I forget what happened exactly, but we were setting up the net during the day and sort of dropped it or something. And it just so happened that a chipmunk got stuck in it when that happened. So I had to untangle the chipmunk from the net. There he is afterwards. He's not very happy about it. And oops, those pictures are not what we went. There's a bat, different species of bat. And then this was the most annoying thing ever, which was that in basically we caught this guy 4 different times back to back. I caught him because he kept, normally if you catch a bat in the net, you untangle it, you let it go. It doesn't fly back into the same net. But this bird, this is an American woodcock, it flew into the same net 4 different times in a row. I would walk with it far away from the net, and release it, and then it would be stuck in, like it flew in from the other side. So what I took away from this was that some birds at least have really bad spatial awareness relative to bats. They're not like, oh yeah, there's a net there, I shouldn't fly into it. They're just like, I'll just keep trying to go here. Yeah. So that was exciting. That's all my stories.
Interesting. And what, that little chipmunk made it?
Oh yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. They're totally fine. Just like the bats make it, the birds make it, the chipmunks make it. So it's, I don't know, it's a fun job, I guess. Do we want to watch I want to watch just the beginning of the video again with what you said in mind, Hans, about how you designed the beginning of this bat video specifically to get the right audience, right? You left some time for intrigue, and then, yeah, well, I'll show. Here we go.
I look around, it looks like the night sky is quiet, empty, dark, and it was as if the bat appeared out of nowhere. And then you're looking at this thing right there that you're like, where did this come from? You know what I mean? It's like it came out of...
Anyways, so that was the beginning again. Yeah. The beginning was really, when I saw the beginning, I was like,
yes, yes. Yeah, it's very charismatic. It really is. It's great. So,
yeah, it worked out nice. It worked out nice. I was practically, I mean, all the footage from there was very good, but it was difficult to get. There's somewhere in the middle of the video you can actually see the entrance of the cave. And when I saw some pictures before we went out there, I saw some pictures of the location. I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be,
because it's rugged terrain.
Yeah, it was rocky, right? And I'm you know, the rock. I'm picturing like gravel or something, and then I see these pictures of.
Oh my goodness! If you
gravel,
go
with
Giorgia,
no gravel in the middle of the woods. This is the kind of miscommunications that happen both ways, where we're like, why would you think that?
Yeah. So that was no, and then you're suited up completely. We were in these Tyvek suits, like hazmat type of suits, which makes it difficult to like walk around. And usually there's all stuff in your pockets. You can't do that. It's difficult to recognize each other, and thankfully Giorgia, I could recognize Giorgia. She was like deliberately not in a Tyvek suit. We designed it, to have her wear something that has some bright colors, and she would be distinct from the other people there. That's things that we didn't think about. Like,
right.
If we have like 10 people in white Tyvek suits running around, how are we going to know who's Giorgia?
Right. So there's two options to responsibly be around bats right now. Is you can wear a Tyvek, zip up one-piece suit and then throw it away, or you can, as soon as you're done handling the bats, before you get in the car, you take off your outer layer of clothing and you bag that up and you decontaminate it later with just like some light bleach or heavy Lysol, or wash it with Lysol is what I did. So I was wearing like leggings under my jeans and stuff like that, so I could decontaminate my life clothes. David Dennis, is the white nose fungus inherently dangerous to the bat or an annoyance which causes them to wake up and use their fat reserves? It's the second thing. It's the latter part of that. So even though it is eating away at their tissues a little bit, like it's growing on their skin, excreting things that eat away at their flesh and fat. So they will actually develop little like holes in their wings and stuff from the fungus. But what really ends up killing them is losing their fat reserves. Yeah.
So to just Hans, just tell us what does modern video equipment look like? I mean, to do such professional videos, do you also take a drone with you, or how do you do it? If you get these steady shots, in often difficult environments.
It depends. I mean, like for me, it's great that the cameras are getting so good now that you start to need like less and less.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really, and especially again, if you plan it out, at least have a good idea of what you're trying to get and stick to that. don't need all that much, really. I would, and also depends. I guess it depends also where you are in your personal development as a filmmaker. I mean, you all go through different phases of one of them is the gear phase. For me, it's like a DSLR. I just have a small DSLR camera. It looks like a photo camera, but these things they're dual nowadays.
Okay, so you don't come with your red camera with 8K and 5 people.
No. And it
I
really,
mean, I was impressed by it. I would say Hans has a lot more in the world of lighting than I thought.
yes, exactly. I was going to say that. Like I think especially if you're, the lighting that you do, I think has a way bigger impact than any camera that you're going to choose.
Mm-hmm.
Same with the audio recording, I would say. And so you need a decent camera to record decent footage. I suppose it helps. I mean, the better the camera, the easier it becomes, really, because they're more forgiving. But lighting is a big deal, especially like this when it's at night.
Yeah, you can see it. You can see the lighting.
Yeah.
There. Can you tell us a bit how you did this? I mean,
well, she has her headlight on, obviously, and then there's two. I had two lights with me.
Like they're like lights that are on stands, right?
Oh.
So they're like on a one big stand, and it has 3 feet, and then it's like this big, but it has this thing over it to make the lights soft.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. This is where Hans is like, there's 2 lights, and then I was like, whoa, we're bringing all that equipment. We have to hike with it all the way up to the cave, But I was like, all right.
That's another thing. Yeah. But they were not. It was like a little ring light, like LED ring light that would work off of like a power bank, because we didn't have electricity there either. So that was another thing. There was no power there.
Yeah.
So so we had a LED ring light, only small one, and a flashlight actually. It was pretty good. Yeah, it was a nice flashlight. I got that from a different project where I needed a light to shoot at night, and I just went to Walmart and returned it as many times as I needed till I got a specimen that didn't flicker too much. Because
Okay.
And it gives off a fairly nice light. You can still see it. Like LED lights cheap LED lights that are not made for video.
That's right.
They give off this flicker a lot of times. So you can see it on her back here in this shot. You can see it on her back. You can see it sort of flickering a little bit.
Yeah,
you have a real attention to detail. I did not notice that.
Go ahead.
I've actually got a high-speed camera, so I do a lot. And I can only use DC light for it, because you will see the waves. We are going through through that, and it looks crazy. It goes up and down and up and down. And so lighting, oh my God. I've done some hummingbirds, as difficult as you have, but I spent a day just preparing the lighting for it.
Oh, yeah.
It's so difficult. So you're absolutely right. It's the key thing. Yeah.
But lighting, and that's also, I mean, we I don't know if we talked about this is the origin
this is the other nocturnal animal video.
Beautiful. Yes, I've seen. Wow, what a shocking movie. I watched that I was intrigued. It's intrigued. Beautifully done, by the way.
Yeah, this turned out nice. Yeah.
But it's not what you expect, or going out there, you watch the cicadas, and then here comes our dinner.
Yeah. No, but it's I like it. It's what I love about filmmaking. And it's also still true if you're on. Yesterday, I was watching the making of Game of Thrones. I don't know. I think it was on HBO. There was like a 2-hour documentary of a videographer who was who spent a year on set behind the scenes looking at how they shot the last season of Game of Thrones.
Right.
And although that is a very big operation, it's still just people, putting stuff together with glue and gaffer tape and some some garbage bags, and even though they're very good at it, it still has that very sort of down to earth kind of quality to it, especially in the moment of filming. I think I like that. I think it's funny that that doesn't really. I think a lot of people have a perception that when you're a professional filmmaker, like everything is, you have like this super great gear and that you bring all that in, and it is true to a certain extent, but without, a little bit of ingenuity and just improvising, it's not going to work.
Yes.
And I think that's a really fun part of it. And
yeah, Hans is an amazing improviser, because no matter how well you plan, and he told me this at the beginning, like, we're going to plan and then we're going to get there, and things are going to be different, and we're going to have to, but if helping the plan first does help. Yeah.
I mean, look at this beautiful photography here. I mean, this videography, I should say. I really love this because this is difficult to film. This looks just so incredible, like a cuisine, and the details and the bubbles and everything. It's just, I really love this. I mean, gosh, I don't know how long Isa took to make this tray, or whoever did this. It's just incredible. Yeah, to rotate it like that and so on. Beautiful. Really, and this too. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we wanted to make it look like there's a Netflix show, Chef's Kitchen. I don't know if you know it. It's about,
of course.
So that was our visual. That is a very, very beautiful show about high-end chefs. But I try to sort of recreate that visually, that sort of language a little bit, that style.
You certainly did.
To confuse people, like, I wanted people to look at this and kind of catch themselves saying, "Oh, that actually looks pretty good," and like, "Oh no, what am I saying? I'm talking about these."
Yeah,
I tried to get that sort of reaction.
You did. You absolutely did. By the way, Giorgia, there's a question for you from Mohammed.
I see. Yeah. So first of all, Mohammed, it's great to see you again. I always love having you on the show, or having you join us. I'm trying to scroll and find the question. Yeah. So the question was, do the bats actually attack perched birds at night? My street is all covered with very old big sycamore trees that are full of huge bats at night. I can hear them going to the garden in front of the house, and then all the birds are flying around, screaming. Sorry, let me, I can't read the comment very well while I'm on it. The birds are running around screaming. Is this comment? Okay, sorry. Yeah, so this is an interesting question because, Mohammed, you're in Egypt, is that correct? And I am not very familiar with the bats that you have there. So up here, I'm so far north, there's not very many species. But I think that what you're talking about, the big bats, those are all fruit-eating bats, or nectar or pollen eating sometimes. So probably what's happening is the bats are going to the trees to look for food, and they're getting fruit or stuff from the trees, and then they're just waking up all the birds that are sleeping in the trees, and the birds are like, ah. I think that sounds like probably what's happening. Christian, you look confused.
No, I think I was just thinking of some. No, I'm not looking confused. I'm just thoughtful because we had this. We were talking about different bats a few series ago. You remember that, right? Of behaviors of bats in temples and so on. So I was just thinking about that. That's all. Whether there was any parallel to this. So yeah.
Yes, here we go. And the answer, Mohammed, well, the garden is full of mango trees.
There you go. Okay, okay.
So you can rest assured the birds aren't being slaughtered and torn apart. They're just angry that they're being woken up in the middle of their sleep by these bats that are going after the mangoes.
Yeah, I just have a question for you, Giorgia, actually, because of filming also, maybe to both of you, because I've got this high-speed camera. I really love slow motion photography, especially of birds and eagles and so on, what I love doing. And I always wanted to do it of bats, but isn't that extremely difficult because of the lighting? That's what I'm thinking. Do you have any comment on that?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. I think Hans has more comment.
Because I have not been in such an atmosphere. I just don't know, right?
No, it's difficult to get the lighting was difficult there because I tried it a few times. I only got one good, because first of all you need to set it up as she's letting them go, but you never know what way they're going to fly, and you can only depends on your that is the difference between like a big production and small production. Like I can only light a very small space. Yeah. So they need to fly like right through the light if you want to catch them really. Otherwise they're just like whoop, and they're gone in the darkness because they're so quick. Yeah, and especially in a high-speed camera, because if you have I don't know, I think the audience doesn't know this, but if you use a high-speed camera, you need a lot more light.
Oh, a lot more.
A
And
lot
also
more.
the the depth of field becomes really shallow.
Yeah, right. So there's you need like industrial light.
Yes, I have
Flashlight is not.
big lights here. I can bring one
Yeah.
in here and show you, but I have huge lights.
Yeah. So that
So
will be an added difficulty for slow motion. That's I some of these shots are like at what are they, 60 frames per second, I think. So let's say
right.
50% of normal speed. That's as far as I could push it. I try to.
And I'm going 1,000 upwards, right? So this is
That's pretty cool. That's got to be very cool.
Yes.
There's the one shot where she lets it go. I took a lot of stills and sent them to Giorgia because you can see like every. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, well, no, you change.
It's this one.
That's a
frames,
good way of doing it. That's a good way of doing it. Yes.
The frames change a lot. I mean, if you only have 60 frames per second, you don't see the actual motion, right? But there's a few frames in there that are super awesome looking, and it would be very cool to do it because they're a very ferocious little animal. They're like, I mean, it's a good thing these bats are small because if they were big, they are angry.
You're manhandling them. They're scared.
Yeah, you grab them, of course. But they are they're ready to fight.
They're fighting for
They
their
have, like,
life.
teeth and yeah.
Hans, you have there's a really interesting question for you that I'm intrigued to know. Marleos van der Singel asks Hans, is there a particular who is it?
A friend of mine from the Netherlands.
Oh, can you say their name better then, please?
Marloes.
Okay, Marouche. Okay, is there a particular subject you would like to capture on film? Your work is so beautiful and meticulous.
Thank you, Marloes. No, I'm always because I mean, right now we are in this sort of stage where we're moving around a lot, right? Because of my wife's job, and we get to new places, and I do get inspired by the location. Like I met you in Michigan. And I actually tried for the longest time to find someone who would make a film with me about ice and snow. I wanted to do something about the ice cover of the Great Lakes or something.
Oh,
right, because that's like special.
Oh, I would love to do that with you because I'm my thesis was in optical light scattering. So I've been looking at different forms of ice and snow for a long time. So this is the type of that's something right down my alley.
that just didn't work out. Now I'm looking. Now we're close to the Everglades. It's the Everglades. They are awesome as well. So now I'm trying to find like whoever I'm going to connect with here to make a video. I'm gonna
beautiful things you can
get me to the Everglades to record it. But beyond that, I am genuinely interested in the work that scientists are doing. I like their open-mindedness and their willingness to say that they don't have the answers and that they need to go look for it. And like filmmaking, they're also improvising a lot of stuff, right? They're also they're beyond the known world, so they also need to duct tape it together and figure it out. And I really like that process, and I'm genuinely interested to see how they're doing that. So I mean, I look for environments more than actual subjects or
well, maybe you should come to Siding Spring to see some. I didn't tell you, but I do astronomy and telescopes, and I can tell you would have a wonderful time trying to capture the atmosphere of people looking at the universe. It's very interesting.
That is pretty amazing.
It's not easy doing this. It's another world again, right? It's so it's interesting. Wonderful, really.
And people like the images you're seeing now is of an artist that I met. So
this is incredible. I watched this video. This is so incredible.
Yeah,
he's using a mixture of Photoshop and traditional art and everything, right? It's cool.
So then that's another factor. I whether or not I like someone, I guess. I mean, I think it's important to find somebody who has a. I don't know. Every person has a vibe to them, and it needs to. And I mean, it's not really like a hard criteria, but if it's someone we all like someone, we don't like others for not any particular reason, or not a reason that we can really pinpoint that easily, I guess. For me, that's a pretty big factor in like choosing who I want to work with or not.
Yeah, I mean, and definitely, I would say there has to be good personal chemistry, because Hans and I, some of this stuff was really hard. Like, I mean, we drove 8 hours to Missouri, and then we stayed up for another several hours. Directly, like, got into the woods, you know, started setting up equipment, then slept a few hours, drove 8 hours back to Michigan.
Yeah, it can get a little. I mean, it's shooting a video like that can be sort of. I don't know. I want to say it's intimate is not really the right word, but it's not a process that works in a very formal way. I mean, not for me anyway. Not when it's like a one-on-one thing, and also, you know, when I'm filming, like when we're out there at night, when I'm focused on my camera and my sound and my lights, and then I need to have a lot of trouble actually verbalizing to Giorgia what it is that I'm trying to do. So I managed to like say like 2 words like, oh, hold that there, and then that's all that my
like
skill muster.
Yeah.
So you need a someone you can find your way with in that regard too, because it's just
Right. Well, Hans is always working with actors and actresses who are not actors and actresses, right? I don't have an intuitive understanding of the importance of blocking. If we decide that I'm going to walk in here and then do this, I can't just walk in and then, oh yeah, I need to grab this. I've ruined the shot, you know? So I do my best.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I shared this video because it's a really good example of the breadth of stuff you did.
It's very creative. It's beautiful. Yeah.
And again, for the people and the subjects, I mean, I try. It's I really like to be inspired by the type of work that people do. So this artist, you know, she goes into Photoshop, and so we did a lot of like screen recordings for that. With Giorgia, we did go like out of our way to actually get some good bad shots. So it's I really enjoy like facilitating my clients' vision in that way. I usually try. I think that's really nice. At the same time, now when you look back at like my past 10 videos, there's so many similarities to them. It's really funny that apparently I never realized this. I mean, I never go into a project knowing that I have a style. It's only looking back at previous work that a style sort of emerges, but it's not my conscious doing. I try to make something completely different every single time, but it just still turns into something that's made by me.
That's your footprint. Of course, it's your signature.
Yeah,
it's all over, right? But that's good. Yeah.
Well, I think if there's no more questions, thank you so much, Hans, for joining us. And thank you, everyone in the audience. We had good participation and a lot of appreciation for your work from everyone. So
thank you.
Definitely, I would say everyone, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't able to read too much of the comments, but thank you. That's really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Go check out Hans's work on Vimeo and share it on your social medias and fight the short social media video. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, and Hans, lots of luck in future. I really like your style and your approach, so it's very solid, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. I'm going to check out your high-speed stuff. That sounds
we can communicate separately.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Okay, thank you. Thanks, everyone.